corresponding toolkit page is page 19 with the proper math notes box and whatnot. Your homework's the same as it has been because we haven't actually assigned it up until now. So this is officially assigned now. Officially. Not officially.
Maybe
It's spelled with O. Alright, now hold up. We have talked about integers. Who remembers what they are? Alex?
Integers are positive whole numbers and negative whole numbers.
Yeah, so make sure you have a date in your toolkit or your math journal or wherever you're doing things. We're in 3, 2, 1. Make sure you title or head every assignment, please. And, sorry, the name of this is subtraction of integers. Now, I bet I blow your brain today. But in a good way, because I was just having a conversation with Mr. Sherg, and we both agree that we don't understand the math like we could. Not integers, integers. So, really quickly in your math notes, we're going to jot down so you remember. An integer. Underline that INT. It means entire value. Whether it's positive or negative, doesn't matter. Integer means entire value. Yeah, they're spelled differently, but they sound the same. Integer, entire value. Are you eating the integer tiles?
What?
He was chewing gum and he was like playing with the integer tiles, so it looks like when you're eating chips and you're like, nom nom.
My gum is white.
Yeah, gum's white too. So.
Okay, just making sure. Alright, so let's look at 324. I need at least each pair. Now, each of you can do this, but if you want to work by pairs, you can. Get out those tiles that you see right there in the picture. I'm not going to tell you how many because you can count, and it's in your textbook. For 324, get out those integer tiles in front of you. Ah, thank you.
Yes, I am eating the integer.
We should make like a cereal with integer tiles.
That would be amazing.
Alright, now when this asks us what integer does this assortment represent, Miss Koenig, because I can't use Alex apparently, because there are too many Alexes. We need to think up nicknames for some people. We figured it out in my afternoon class. Miss Koenig, what does this represent, and how did you do it? So these tiles, have you guys figured out what it represents when we combine it all, when we group it? Hey people, can we stop talking over other people? I can't hear if Alex is even answering. Your guys' hands don't need to be up. I'm using cards and pointing my questions at people. Sorry, especially those of you that, to use a term that, like, those, like, teacher's pet kind of, like, where I was at. I was hand always in the air, always had the answer. Or if I didn't have the answer, I still had my hand in the air. Don't know why. I was that kid. And, but that's not fair to the kids that don't always raise their hands and don't have that, like, yeah, call on me. Like, some kids will just take the chance to, like, to float through class. That's why I use my cards and randomly call on people. Not because I don't like you and I don't want to call on you because your hand's up, because I want to make sure I talk to everybody. So, Alex, did you guys figure out what we have when we look at this all together? We've not figured that out. So we'll give you 1 more minute. Try to answer parts A and B as your teams. Hey, you're working on this work, not talking about what homework is done. Oh, I thought you were trying to show the sin. No offense, but I don't really care right now. That wasn't even really like. Oh, now is not at all the appropriate time. If you're trying to like turn a progressing into a mastery, now is not at all that time. I think you were trying to show me you already did tonight's homework. If you're doing past work, AO extensions, you gotta talk to me then. Guys, with any teacher, class time is not the time to try to get grades changed. Any teacher will tell you that. What happens if I have a positive and a negative? They cancel each other out, right? How many positives did we get out? 4. How many negatives did we get out? 6. So if I group there, group there, group there, and group there, what are we left with? -2. Now wait. So undo those groups then. So like the first part, -2. Yay. But then what if 3 of our positive tiles are removed? Well then 3 of those groups can no longer happen. So physically, at your table, move 3 of those tiles off to the side. 3 of those positives. And I can't physically move these, but I'm going to draw it. That's gone, those are all gone. Oh, that's not fair. So up on the TV, actually I'll put it right here. So if I move 3 of these off to the side and just don't think about those, what action was that? If we tried to describe that algebraically, that would, what did we say we started with? With the amount that we had to begin with.
We started with 4, but we took away 3.
All right, hold on. So when we combined all of these, before we removed any tiles, like before we did this and we combined the zeros, like the positives and the negatives, didn't we say we had -2? So we started with -2. So we had -2. Then, what did we do when we moved these over? Took away 3 positives. So -3. Right? So if we were to write that algebraically, we've got -2 minus 3. Then it asks us, what happens if 3 of the negative tiles are removed from the original set of tiles? Okay, well, move this. So do it on your table, that, and that. So how do I describe doing that mathematically? Again, we took away what, Piper? Ooh, so we had that, then we did this, now we did what? Don't tell me what it ends up being. What did we do? We didn't put anything in there, we took things away. So algebraically, you're still not saying the algebraic. I get it, took away, but we can't, that's not a math word. Took away is not really a word. I'm trying to, yeah, subtract or minus 3 negatives. So wait a minute. We had -2, but it was a bunch of tiles. We took away 3, then we took away 3 negatives. Well, what do I have now? Well, still I can pair these, and I still have, interesting. So wait, at the get-go, at the very beginning, I had all of these tiles, and it equaled -2. And now, I only have these tiles, but it still equals -2? Why? Why did that have so many more tiles than that one?
It's because you took out the same amount of positives and negatives from the amount you had currently.
So
Like if you took away 2 negatives and 2 positives, it would still be negative.
so what did I really do? Alex?
You just took away 3 of each.
Did I change anything?
No.
So I took away 0? Kind of? Sort of? Right? Like I didn't change anything. So I like took away. So what we're saying here is this, or sorry, not with the minus, but this, I guess with the minus, is 0? So we're, just keep that thought as we dive into the lesson. So we had a bunch of tiles, we took away a bunch of tiles, but yet we took away nothing. Okay, alright, so very confused. I like being confused. Confusion is fun. So let's move on to 25. Let's move on to 325. Now we're going to do a lot of playing with the algebra tiles. You might want some space, so I would advise having books for pairs. I would not say each person to have your textbook out. I would have it in between your desks. We want to, hey, hold up. Please listen to directions, and I'll let you guys go. We want to, on 325, try to use as many different ways to represent things as we can. So this starts with a picture, so it's already given you the diagram. Can we write a numerical expression and a situation to describe it? So let's start on A kind of together. If you look at what A starts with, how would you describe that? I start with, how?
I start with 8 and so I start with like 8. I don't know how to explain it.
So I start with a bunch of tiles, right?
Yeah.
But the value that you keep kind of like getting, you have 8, right? Our value is 8 and nothing, right? Like these are really, even though they're tiles,
They're not there.
they're nothing. But then, what does the problem become when this happens? So I'm not going to answer this right now. I'm going to leave that to your groups to talk about. This then becomes 8, and what happened? Like, what is it showing you happened? So what we're really trying to write out is this. This is what we're really trying to write out. I know this is confusing, but it's just telling you, you started with that. Guys, we can put as many 0 pairs as we want. It's like multiplying by 1. I can multiply by 1 all day long and still get the same thing. I can add 0 all day long and still get the same thing. So play with ABC. See if you can figure out ways to model it, like with your tiles, ways to write it numerically, algebraically. If you can describe it in a situation, some of these are really tough to describe. And then what is your total value? So I'll give you at least 3 minutes, probably 5, to work through these. What is that? It is confusing. This is what we were never taught accurately when I was in math. So that's what happens to our situation. So Zen told us we start with a value of 8, even though we have more tiles. Then these get taken away. So what was done? What mathematically could we say would be taken away? Minus -2. But then what we end up with are we just not playing? It's going to be much better. make a lot more sense. You will learn better if you physically have them out. Please trust me. This is stuff I did not get taught academically. So if you start with 8 positives, and then a positive, negative, and then do what the book shows, how do I describe that mathematically? That's what we're trying to get to, not just what is the end, like where do we end up? What happened? How do I say it? We figured it out here? So it is. Now how do we get there? How do we say that mathematically?
So it's 8 subtracted.
When you take away, how do we say that math? Subtract or minus. So we had 8, right? And you just said minus 2 negatives makes 10. So make sure that we write that out accurately, algebraic. All right. So we start. Yeah, we can zoom here too. Sweet. We start right like this. Then, and I don't like how the tool doesn't show this that well, these disappear, get taken away. Now, conceptually, Ian and I were having this conversation, and then he was like, "Oh, Ian, what was your like moment? What'd you figure out?"
No, because when you take away the 2, this
Yeah.
2 plus, and
See
he
what
still
I mean?
has 8.
Yeah, then he ends up with 8, so it makes no sense because he's supposed to.
No, he does not end up with 8.
He ends up
Yeah,
with
I know, but like you do the like
yeah, because
you say that you subtract
and he
82
takes it
plus
away, just
2.
you know, he has less.
So right now, I have. I'm rich, right? I have $11 and $0 and $0 and $0 and $0 and 0 cents and 0 hundreds and 0 thousands. I have a lot of zeros, right? On top of my 11. We had 8 and zeros. Because, what did we do? Who can tell me what we did? We had 8 and a lot of people told me as I came around, Mia, we subtracted away 2 negatives. Now imagine this situation without them. You just start with 8. And I hand you 8 positive tiles, that's it. And I say, okay, now take away 2 negatives. You can't. But it's not that you can't, it's that you couldn't with that representation. This and this are the same thing. So is, I could have as many positive negative pairs as I want. It's still the same thing. The thing is, if I just handed you the 8 positives and said take away negative tiles, you'd get mad at me. And I don't like it when you're mad at me. Because we can't. That's why we're showing those extra zeros. Now, back in the olden days of math, the rule we would have taught you is 8 minus negative 2. And some of you probably saw this. Take the 2 negatives, merge them together, make a positive. This turns into 8 plus 2. And we'd make you memorize this rule and you wouldn't understand why. The reason this happens is because to take away negatives from a positive value, we must first throw in some 0 pairings. Is this making any sense? So keep working, but if you want to write it algebraically and show it, 8 minus negative 2 becomes into 8 plus 2 because we now have 2 extra positive tiles and becomes 10. Yeah, hold on. Let me capture this and I'll be right back. I mean, what we would have told you is minus a negative is plus a positive. Memorize that rule.
I know some. I that.
Now, here's the challenge. Can you show me B with tiles? Can you show me B with tiles?
I would like, yeah. There's a side of me that wonders if I should ever actually do that. But I like working with people.
I mean, older than you.
No.
Do what? Yeah. 8. Where did you see that? That? This? It's probably high school math. HSM means high school math. You gotta check with Amanda. Joanna wanted one of them. I think Joanna wanted C, but Amanda said he wanted
Wait, you just said it.
either way, you just
Now that one makes no sense.
But I think we're wrong. Really cool class. The kids all really like it. Who is confident enough to come show this to the class? Rachel, I heard you're confident enough. That was super easy.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll try.
So, well, here, I'll pull back up the book on the other screen.
No, says everything's easy, but she has to do it. No, I'm ready.
So, in the book, we're now on B, right? We start with -8. I need you, and you have a bag of tiles up here, I need you to show me what happens when we do what the problem tells me.
Okay. The problem says to take away -3. Then you just take these two away. And you get -5.
Whoa, wait, why didn't we need 0 pairs then? Why didn't we have any of those positive and negative pairs?
I don't know.
Piper, was that you that said it under your breath? Somebody said it. What'd you say? So why does that matter here? Thank you. When we start with negative numbers and we try to take away negatives, I don't need any 0 pairs. I have negatives that I can take away. Even if I had 0 pairs, let's throw some 0 pairs here. And it tells me take away 3 negatives. Okay, I take away 3 negatives, even if I use the 0 pair. Then these group up, still make 0 pairs, and I still end up with 5. I don't need the 0 pairs because I have what I'm asked to start with. Now C starts with 0. So play with C. If you haven't gotten there yet, play with C. Anyone think you can come up and show this? Part C? Yeah, you volunteer, Rachel. Come on. Now, make sure you look at what's showing. So, because right now it's not showing 0. So get the setup and then do what shows what happens. Let me pull up your text. I saved it from the great chair purging. We got rid of a bunch of focus chairs, and I identified that as a good chair. So make sure you set up how we start with 0 and show dropping 5 degrees. How do you show it? Can you show the files? How did you start? Is that enough to take away 5 degrees? I can't take away 5 degrees. The temperature drops 5 degrees. It's now positive.
Yeah, okay. So this is 0.
Alright, so hold up. Andy's going to be bold.
Oh no, okay.
I'll take a sleep.
So this is 0. And then
Guys, the teacher's talking. Be quiet.
How many years did you get held back?
okay, so this equals 0 because there's an even number of both.
Do we all agree that equals 0?
Yeah.
And that Annie's fingernails are awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, moving forward.
Okay, and so it drops 5 degrees. So I'm taking away, I think, and then we'll time.
Any questions for the teacher? We'll be serious.
Oh no. So what was your thought process on how to get to take it back? Why didn't you only take away those?
Because that was hot.
So Annie, as I walked around, I saw a couple groups started. Like when I said, "Where'd you start?" They showed me a positive and 1 negative, and they said, "Well, here's 0." And I said, "Okay, take away 5," and then they kind of got stuck. How did you know to start how you did?
Because I know to take away something, you have to have that even number or more.
That's exactly it. I love it. To take away something. Exactly what Annie just said. I have to have that something to be able to take away. Thank you very much. I'm going to show a couple examples. So, this group that I saw that started like this, they started with 0, a positive and a negative. But when they went to take away 5, I can't. So I can, boom, 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 and actually it doesn't matter how many. I make a bunch of 0 pairs to still equal 0. Then, and I have more, you just can't see them. Then I can take away 5. Even if I have a 0 pair left over, I still have 5 negatives that I did not take away. Be careful, the mistake that I'll see kids make is they already know the answer is going to be -5, but they take away the 5 negatives. And then I'm like, guys, no, we're taking away 5 positives. So let's check out. Sorry, is that I can't even see whose hand. Question?
My question is, when those groups did that, why didn't they, what they did is just add on a negative, 5.
Yeah, that's what they then figured out. All right, so 326, check this out. First thing you want to do when you're working in pairs, not everybody has to do this. Build an assortment to represent what's happening. Explain it. And then draw it in your toolkit or your math journal. Okay, I will invite people up here to show these out.
Invite Rachel. Invite Izzy.
I'm going to use cards. Alright, so hold on. Sorry, pause for just a second. With the whole draw thing, I heard a couple comments, and I was working with a student that I tutor, and I realized how frustrating sometimes drawing is unless you get like a little kick in the right direction. So if we want to draw 7, right? I can draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But then to show -5, we take away 5, right? But here's the problem. Well, we don't have to do that actually because we're taking away 5 positives. So, here's one thing that I would advise. What worked for the kid that I tutored? That's not connected together. Here's your workspace. Here's where what you have lives. If I take away an amount, say 5, show it going out of your workspace, leaving you with what in your workspace? What's left over on that mat or in that box? Just 2. So this will equal 2. So imagine on your table there was like a box, and that, I mean, everyone's doing this without realizing it. When we take away, we're moving it out of that space to no longer be part of my area, my region that I'm working with. So I've got a pile of positives and a pile of negatives up here. Anyone want to come show B? And you can take a moment to set it up, and then we'll pull the class together. Let's give Will a chance.
Will, I like your haircut. Thank you. You're pretty awesome.
So go ahead and set that up.
All the boys got haircuts. Are you calling me? Yeah.
I'm glad that getting a haircut now determines gender. We've gone really far now.
That is just we rate so high.
I think she's like her.
When you get it cut.
All right, so Will is going to show B. Now hold up. Will, what are you starting with?
So I'm starting with 4 pairs of the 0 pairs because this positive plus negative would equal 0. So this is all great job, Will. So
Good job.
it'll all be 0.
So then what happens?
So then it wants us to subtract 4, so you take out the positives, and you're left with negative. And it would be negative 4.
It would be -4. Very good work, Will. Any volunteers for C? Naya, come on up here, dear. C, I'm going to drag this back up onto the TV so we can all see these.
Spell it like I went to the store.
-6 might see it's over on that screen now. Here, freeze. Are you ready? Actually, we'll mute it for a moment. In this bottom right button, we'll make your screen live. -6 minus 2. I bet some people will screw up on D or E or F.
Yeah, probably.
So are you starting to get it now? I heard you say that you were confused with what was going on. It is confusing. Yeah. All right, so hold up. All right, Naya's got C for us.
So these are the -6s, and this is the +2, this is -6 minus +2.
Now wait, teacher.
Yeah.
If I pair zeros, like if I make 0 pairs, don't I have -4 right now? Okay. So now how am I going to take away 2? But if I'm supposed to take away, so I think Bilal might have some help for you, it seems like.
Okay. So you go back to having 6 negatives and then having the 2 positives to cancel it out into zeros. Then you, instead of just taking out the positives, you take out both the negatives and the positives. Then you have -4.
No.
That's not right.
I'm not in charge. All right,
It's
Naya's
done
in charge.
all in each unit.
Wait,
Thanks, Miss Dawn.
Wait, we'll just.
I can talk though. So, but I think, so, go back there, and then what you could do is, instead,
So let me ask this question.
So,
Pause for a second. Right now, what's on the screen? Is that -6? No. This is our problem. Go.
but, so then put 8 across the top, and then put 2 at the bottom, and now take the 2 out.
So hold on. Let's get our start. I get what he's saying, but he's saying it all too quickly. So this, I'm going to pair sets. So we have 8 negatives, right? 8 negatives and 2 positives. So even though we're showing 8 negatives, this number's not -8. This number, when joined with a plus and a plus that we have on the mat, these make what? 0. So these with those, now this is -6. This is where people screw up, guys. We can't just have 6 negatives. We have to have excess to make the 0 pairs. So now, can you show what we do when we take away 2? Are we taking away 2 positives or 2 negatives? According to the problem, -6 minus 2. 2 positives, right? So show that. So take away 2 positives. No, you can't add anything else in. Those are negatives.
Can I go there and help Miss Dunn?
It's done now.
Calling somebody to help you.
Thank you, Miss Dunn.
Yeah.
Okay, Miss Dunn. Miss Dunn, you like Miss Dunn.
Whoa.
Oh!
One more like that, Will. You sit back down. Your end answer for C should be -8,
Subtract.
which I see a lot of people don't have correct.
Because when you subtract a negative number from a positive number, or no, positive number from a negative number, it goes lower. Subtract. You keep the other little
But it's negative.
All right, try D. If you haven't done D, try D. Thank you, sorry, but you're good. That struggle was very, very positive for people to see and understand it. I guarantee a lot of other people were doing that. How? Who can tell me? Ooh, this is a really deep question. Who can tell me how many tiles I will need to start D? Nina?
11.
She's absolutely correct. We need to show 3 positives, but then we know we're going to need to take away 4 negatives. Can I take away 4 negatives from this right now? No. To do that, I need to add in some negatives, but I can't add negatives. I have to add zeros because I can't change this. So I add in however many zeros I want. So there's my 11 tiles, but actually, if I wanted to, I could start with more. So I could start with as many zeros as I want. Okay? Outside of my 0 pairs, I have 3 positives. So I'm starting with 3. Minus 4 negatives. Because only one screen is recording, this would also be good. So we right now are starting with 3. It's those guys. Those 3 positives. These guys are all zeros. Do we agree? The problem we want to do is 3 take away 4 negatives. Sorry, you can barely see the 2. So, I take away a negative, a negative, a negative, and a negative, move those somewhere else, and now I look at what I still have. Now, because I put in a bunch of extra 0 pairs, still 0, still 0, still 0, I didn't need those. That was excess in the beginning. What do I have now? 7! Because this, if we want to write the algebra, becomes 3 plus 4, which equals 7. Now, what I have is 7 plus 0 3 times. I have 3 zeros added on that don't matter. Does that make sense? So when we look, now be careful. When we look at E, how many tiles will I need to be able to solve E? What, moving deer? Why just 8?
Because I know because when you multiply negative by negative,
We're not multiplying though.
Subtract.
yeah, subtracting.
What do we start with? -8, right? We start with -8. What do I take away? Negatives. I start with negatives and I take away negatives. So we could very easily say, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 negatives. Take away 5 of the negatives. I don't need any of those 0 pairs. These are gone now, and I end up with -3. Because this becomes -8 plus 5, which is really -3. Now, this is where you're like, wait, it's not addition. And that's where conceptually things get a little goofy. We took away negative values, which really actually caused for my number to go towards 0.
A negative.
Yeah, it's awkward.
Negative.
So, now, I can hold on, give me 30 more seconds. I could show this in another way, though. I start with my 8 negatives and a bunch of 0 pairs. Stick with me, please watch. Please watch, this might blow your mind. I'm serious. So it says, start with -8, so I've started with -8. Take away 5 negatives. Watch this, eyes up here. Give me your eyes or else you're going to be here forever. Take away 5 negatives. I could take away these, but don't. If I take away these 5 negatives, I've now got a -8 and 5 positives. A -8 plus 5. These join, and I end up with -3. All right, get out of here. Have a great day, guys. I'll clean our, well, I'll try to put them in the bag, but I'll come pick up the bags. Try to get the tiles back in the bags. Thank you, you're all